G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of Wine Back Wednesday. And the other day I was in the cellar and out of the corner of my eye I saw this little bottle that had been there for a little while, and I thought, why not, let's give it a crack. It is a fortified wine from Artwine up in the Adelaide Hills and Clare Valley. Well, their cellar door is in the Adelaide Hills in Woodside, but they have vineyards up there as well, and also up in Clare Valley. Glenn and Judy Kelly have had the business for a number of years, and their vineyards are sustainably grown and have a big focus on that. And they have a wide range of emerging varieties, as well as obviously the usual suspects. But for example, they've got a little bit of Albarino, Graciano, Gruner Veltliner, and of course Fiano. This is made out of Fiano. When they do decide on a variety, they think to themselves and they ask themselves three questions. First of all, do we want to drink the wine that this variety produces? So obviously do a bit of R&D and taste wines from that variety, whether it be there is already some grown locally in Australia, or whether they go further afield overseas and find newer varieties and source some wines from there and taste them. But also, can the consumer pronounce the variety? Over the years, with some of these newer varieties coming into the country, some have been tried and unfortunately sort of tripped at the finish line, but sometimes it's because the consumers aren't able to pronounce it, and if you can't pronounce it, it's hard to order, and some people get embarrassed about when they're talking about wine stuff. So fair enough. And last but not least, will the variety, if they get past those two questions with a big tick, they wonder, the last question is whether the variety is suitable climatically for either the Adelaide Hills or their Clare Valley sites. So pretty simple three questions, but very effective. But yes, the Yes Minister Fortified Fiano, and it's not an ode to the English comedy series of the same name, which was around in the late 1980s, where the character Jim Hacker obviously was elected as a minister, and was there to run the Department of Administrative Affairs in quite entertaining fashion, but is actually dedicated to Judy's grandfather, who was a vicar from Wales. And although he was a teetotaler, they say on the back label that he would have had a good giggle to himself that he had a wine named after him, and obviously there is a photo of him on the front as well. They believe that this is at least the first fortified Fiano in Australia and possibly the world. Fiano is obviously down sort of Campania and Sicily, down the southern part of Italy, and I couldn't find there's anyone who does fortified Fianos down there. Most of the fortified wines down that sort of part of the world are over in a little sub-region, in a little area called Marsala in Sicily, and they use different varieties, so it could very well be the first globally. I couldn't find a huge amount of research on it. It is classified as non-vintage, but I believe that most of the base wine is from 2016, and from what I as a winemaker thinking about how it would be made, I assume it was just made like pricked normally at a normal sort of sugar level, made into wine, and it was fortified with SVR, a neutral spirit, or Spiritus Vinum Rectificatum, the Latin word, which means sort of rectified wine spirit, but neutral spirit, and then was put into used barrels for 4 years and then bottled up. So I don't know if there's any residual sweetness. It's sort of a bit of the notes I could find. It said there was this honeyed sweetness associated with it, but it'd be interesting to try what it is. So it's just nice little packaging here, the little band on the top, little wine band. I'll just turn that. There we go. They say when it's been opened, you should put it in the fridge and drink it reasonably fresh over the coming days. So lovely colour, but so 2016, put into barrel for 4 years. So we were given this bottle by some friend's daughter who works with up there actually, and she thought it would be interesting to try. So I'm sorry that I haven't tried it sooner, but we put it into the cellar, and I saw it the other day and I thought I'd give it a crack. So Lovely sort of golden, deep golden colour. And it smells as though it's a fortified, sort of got some spirit in behind it. There's a little bit of honeyed notes in the background. So some floral notes. The oak is definitely present, and you can definitely smell the spirit. I mean, it is quite cool, but it says put it in the fridge, so whether they recommend drinking it, it says, yeah, serve slightly chilled, so obviously, I mean, it's slightly chilled now. It's quite, there is that honeyed sweetness, and it has a bit of texture. I mean, Fiano itself has this merely waxy note to it anyway, especially when it's picked a little bit riper. There's definitely some oakiness note there. There's a little bit of spirit, honey notes. It's quite dry on the finish, but it has that sort of texture about it. So, really interesting. To be honest, I have never. We obviously tasted quite a bit of fortified wines over the years, and usually they're got a subtle sweetness to them at least. But I've obviously never ever tried a fortified Fiano, and not many of us have. So this one obviously is possibly the first one in the world. So that's really interesting. Lifted, nutty, honeyed, oaky, spirited, and honeyed on the palate. It looks sort of cashewy note as well, actually, now coming through. This finish is quite dry, as I said, but there we go. The Yes Minister, an ode to Judy's Welsh vicar grandfather, from Artwine in the Adelaide Hills. And this fruit is actually from the Vineyard in Clare Valley. So thanks for listening. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.